I'm very happy to have Laura Snowden here today, and she's going to talk about the piece that she wrote for Lambton and talk about her compositions and about her music, the things she does with music besides being a guitarist and being a composer, and where she went to school. And I'm going to ask her a few questions, and you'll all get to meet Laura this way. Instead of hearing the piece live, which we will do next summer, this is the closest we're going to get for now. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
So let me just ask you, what was some of your very earliest musical memories? You have any remembrance of any of those?
Well, my dad, he's not a professional musician, but he's always played music for fun. And when I was little, he was playing the Irish tenor banjo. That's what he was doing then. Now he's playing guitar and kind of jazz guitar and other stuff. But then it was Irish folk music at the banjo, and sometimes Breton folk music. My mother's from Brittany in France, so he would play a bit of Breton music as well. And I remember him playing with these two other men, and they would come around the house and sing together in harmonies. So it was a lot of folk music, specifically Celtic music. And also he really liked Bob Dylan, so there was a lot of Dylan in the house as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's a nice blend of different kinds of styles,
Yeah.
Yeah. And what types of music through that experience as a young girl did that draw you to in terms of music and things like that? Did it help? Did it direct you in any way, or?
Well, I think in the beginning I probably was anti whatever my dad liked, even though now it brings me a great sense of happiness to listen to the music of my childhood. And that's some of my favorite music. But at the time, I think I sort of deliberately wanted to do the opposite of whatever he was doing. I liked the Spice Girls. I was very upset when they broke up. And I think partly because of them breaking up, that was one of the reasons I got so into playing classical guitar, because I kind of thought, well, pop music has nothing left for me now. I felt very disillusioned. So I guess I'll just have to bury my sorrows in the classical guitar. And then also, I really liked Ralph McTell, singer-songwriter. And I think I just thought his guitar playing was very delicate and very beautiful, very expressive. So I think it was actually partly from hearing one of his songs that I was inspired to take up the guitar in the beginning.
Yeah, he's a beautiful singer and guitar player. It's beautiful.
Yeah, really beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. So you've come from more of a folk or popular tradition of the guitar or than the classical world, really, which is I think is a wonderful thing for that so many guitarists have found the classical guitar from that way, because there's a certain kind of maybe freedom or a certain kind of expressiveness that happens in that music that is, I think, really wonderful for one's playing and one's sense of musicianship. Totally. I mean, so I think it's really the way you found the avenue into classical guitar through that way, which is very common for a lot of guitarists. Yeah, it's great. So then, so how old were you about when you started to play the guitar, or those, were you influenced by Ralph McTell and stuff?
So I was 8 when I moved to Sussex. I'd been living in Devon. And well, this won't make much sense probably to Canadian audiences, but yeah, anyway, I moved areas in England, and in my new school there was a guitar teacher, and she taught classical guitar at the school. And I wanted to start guitar lessons. This is when I was 8, but there were no places. So I had to wait for a year until I was 9 before I could start having lessons. But I went to the library, and there was a book there called Solo Guitar Playing by Frederick Node. You probably know the one.
I know.
And so I learned the guitar from that in the first year. And I also had, I think my dad would have been teaching me chords as well, probably because he wanted someone to play along with him while he was playing the banjo. But I mean, I was playing a full-size guitar because that's what we had. And I played a full-size guitar the whole time through my education and everything. So that's kind of hard when you're doing all the big chords and everything on the full-size guitar.
Right. Yeah, for a young person, definitely.
Yeah.
And did you ever play any other instruments? Anything else?
So I went to a music school at the age of 16 called the Yehudi Menuhin School.
Right.
which is a specialist music school, and I had a scholarship to go there. And while I was there, I learned the piano for 3 years. And that was really useful because now I use that for composing and analysis and things like that. I wouldn't play it as a performer, but it's just a useful tool for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always sang a little bit. I was in choirs and things growing up. And I like to sing. So I don't call myself a trained singer, but I just like to sing.
Yeah, that's great. It's wonderful. Yeah. And what about composing? Did you ever think that you would be a composer, or how did that evolve, that whole idea?
So that was probably one of the earliest musical things I did. Actually, before I started learning the guitar, I remember I was writing songs, and I was writing this musical about children who lived in this terrible home, and they were going to run away and have a magical adventure. They were forced to clean the house constantly. So there was a song called Dustpan and Brush about them having to do the chores. And anyway, I used to write those on a little tape player. So I would record them on a tape player because I couldn't write or read music. So I had no way of recording what I'd written. So that's how I did it. And then my dad would work out the chords for me, which was really nice actually, because then I got to kind of hear them come alive.
Right, right. Wow. And about how old were you when you did that? Were you doing that?
Probably that would have been from the age of 8 onwards, I think.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So he would play the chords and then I would sing them.
You would sing them and sing the song, yeah? Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
So then as you, in your teenage years, before you went to this school at 16, were you still writing songs and things like that? Or, yeah, you were doing that, yeah?
Yeah, not so much songs. I think once I started the guitar, I would write little pieces for guitar because that was just a natural thing for me to do as soon as I started learning, really.
Right.
And then in the UK, you have to do these exams when you're 15, 16 called GCSEs. So I think you had to write some pieces for that if you were taking music GCSE. So
Right.
I wrote my pieces for that as well. I wrote a little guitar concerto and a couple of solo guitar pieces, I think. And then when I went to the school, I was really encouraged to keep going with composition, and I started doing it even more. So it's something I've actually always done.
Right, right. Sounds like, yeah, that's great. So did you have an idea of music as a career as a teenager, or just it was something you were just doing,
Yeah, I think it was just something I was doing because I think as a younger child, I really loved creative activity, anything creative. So that was kind of my buzzword. I would just say to myself, at least you have creativity. You have creativity when I was sad. So I got a real kick out of doing things like writing stories, writing songs, drawing pictures. I wanted to be an actor. That was my big burning ambition. Regrettably, I was not very good at acting. But I kind of wanted to be a writer. I thought that might be a more realistic proposition because I was better at writing than at acting, I think.
Right, right.
So those were my two thoughts. I'm not sure I was thinking of becoming a musician. I think I quite liked the obvious storytelling nature of drama and writing as I knew them. I'm sure there's kind of more abstract ways, but
Right.
I liked the idea of you have a character and the character wants to do this and they think this, they feel this. Whereas if you're playing a piece of music, even if you're thinking this part feels explosive or this part feels gentle, it's not like this is the bit where the man wants to eat the pasta or something like that.
Right.
So I liked the obviousness of the storytelling because I just loved the idea of telling stories.
Right.
And that's something I've kind of come back to now, and I've tried to marry that early interest with what I'm doing now musically. But that was really what I loved, was kind of storytelling and character and drama, narrative. But then I think in my early teens at my secondary school, there was just a really nice music department. The music teachers were really nice, and there was a really great sense of community because they had after school clubs, things like that. So there was a community choir on Wednesdays, which still makes me feel really excited when I think Wednesday evening, 7:30 p.m, Sackville Community Choir rehearsal. I still dream about it sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just loved it. So I think I got just a sense of community and belonging, and kind of self-esteem as well from doing that. So I think I just fell into it by chance. And my guitar teacher at that school was giving me classical guitar magazine to read. And in that I read that the Yehudi Menuhin School, which was this specialist music school, had a donation from the Rolling Stones to fund guitar tuition at the school and were auditioning people. Right. So I just thought, oh, maybe here's my chance to do something kind of different, go to a new school, do something exciting. So I feel like I fell into it by accident, really.
Right. But actually, it's the world that you were in anyway. Right?
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So it was kind of like, and then you just carried on to your next step, you know, which was going to a school board. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, is there any? So where did you go to school again? Can you say people might like to know that when you said
so the music school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Yehudi Menuhin School. So that was from the age of 16 to 19. I was there for 3 years.
19, and you studied both guitar and composition.
Yeah, I mean, guitar was the main thing that I studied, but there were composition lessons as well. You didn't have one-to-one composition lessons. It was group classes.
Right.
But it's a great school because they give you a very, very rounded program of music, and they have this policy that anyone who gets a place should be admitted regardless of finances. So they have massive scholarship programs, and I mean, it's really amazing the level of scholarship and donors that they have, and it really does allow people to have this opportunity to go to this brilliant school. So that was really lucky. And after that I went to the Royal College of Music, which is a conservatoire in London, and there I took guitar as my major and then composition as a second study. Right.
And are there any kinds of specific ensembles or things like that? Like, did you like to write for instrumentation? I know obviously you write for solo guitar and chamber music and things, but are there any favorites or things that you're looking forward to do that you haven't done?
I think I kind of like everything, because I basically just do whatever I'm asked to do, and it's always interesting.
Right.
And I think a lot of it is about who you're writing for. That's what makes it really interesting and fun. It's more the sense of collaboration with people, especially people that you know.
Right.
So that was the fun thing, say, with writing this piece for Lambton, was I had you and Laura in mind, knowing that I'm writing the guitar parts for you, and knowing that the mezzo soprano part is for Emily, who I met in Long Island. Then you sent me a video of her, and she's an amazing singer. So knowing that I'm writing for her, for example, that makes it really fun for me. So, and I've had other similar things recently in the UK. So I wrote a theorbo piece for Matt Wadsworth, theorbo player, and he's just a really inspiring person. So that was just cool to work with him and collaborate. And pieces for the Vida Guitar Quartet, who you know, and the Mela Guitar Quartet, and they're both really fun to hang out with. So it's just kind of fun. I mean, that's one of the things that I like about it, because it can be quite solitary writing, and I like that sense of back and forth with someone, and the sense that it's a collaboration.
Right. I was thinking what you were saying about the community choir and the collaboration, and you're talking about your composing in the same light, that it's about this collaboration. And actually in this festival in Canada is really about this collaboration and community. It's all about the community up there, these people who have wonderfully embraced this festival. And so it's all what it's about. And actually, isn't that what music is about anyway? It's about sharing and bringing people together through music, you know? It's not, you know, and it's wonderful to hear you, like you say, well, it's so much about the collaboration of who you're doing it for. I mean, as you know, that there are composers who will just, it doesn't matter to them. They're just writing. It's this like sort of, you know, abstract thing in a way that they're writing, and then people play it, you know? But it's nice, the feeling that you're giving and your sense of it about it being community, and, you know, it's all part of, you know, makes it feel whole, really, I think, you know? That's wonderful. So are there any composers that really have inspired you from the past or the present, or in any genre of music? I'll open it up because I know.
I think Björk, or Bjork,
as
some people call her. Then I've been listening to a lot of Meredith Monk recently,
Oh, that's great.
and Laurie Anderson.
Yeah.
And then there's some British composers I like, Anna Meredith, Thomas Adès.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then from the past, Messiaen, I love Messiaen. And I really like John Tavener as well, the new one, the 20th century one.
Right.
And there's an old one too, isn't there? But I find his music, I just think it's so amazing how it's so simple, but so touching. Like his choir piece, The Lamb or something, I just can't understand how it could be seemingly so simple. It's so short, so repetitive, and it just packs such a punch. I find it incredible.
Yeah. That's the brilliance in that kind of thing, isn't it?
Mm,
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so so you have obviously this wide range of tastes and likes, and that all sort of, you're open to all of these things that are out there, which is really, I think it informs music. It makes music very exciting for me anyway, as a listener, when you hear someone's approach where they're able to take everything that's around them and sort of, we're like, if we're here in 2020. When we hear Beethoven never heard all these things that you're talking about. So Beethoven could be, come now, he would hear all these things, and you imagine what, he would write, because he's heard all this other stuff,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's really
true.
kind of
Yeah.
interesting, so we have all these things and the access to all of these styles and all of these things, which how could you not, unless you're living in this closed-in area somehow, in the world out. So that's great. It's
Yeah.
Does that all seep into your composition or people's compositions, Yeah, it's really, I think it's really wonderful, and I gave you a big list of instruments to write, that we have in Canada. And how was it that you finally narrowed it down to this big group, but these choices you made?
I think in the end, I wrote for everything you said, apart from the keyboard.
Yeah.
And the only reason I missed out the keyboard or piano was because I just thought it's already a really complicated and sort of unusual texture, what we've got already. And I just thought that's maybe one level too far. I can't really think how I would integrate that as well. But just as it is, it's 2 guitars, percussion, flute, the mezzo-soprano soloist, the choir, and the string quartet, which is already a really unusual combination. But I just wanted to pretty much include everyone, partly for that sense of community that you've been talking about, because I gathered that was kind of the point. Yeah. And especially as I was writing the piece during the lockdown, and I was thinking, it just seemed fitting and nice, the idea of trying to write a piece that brings everybody together, and that has a sense of belonging about it. So I tried to give everybody their little moment and have there's some little solos and things like that, and in different movements the different instruments get to shine. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a wonderful combination. I'm looking forward so much to playing the piece, and everyone is very excited about it. All the musicians are very excited about it, and they're all looking forward to it. And I know the people in Canada, hopefully it's going to be okay for next summer. They'll be really excited about having this premiere happen. Great. We'll see. So, well, I want to thank you very much for your time here today and doing this interview. And we will hear your music next year, and everyone watching the video will be very happy to meet you, I'm sure.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Today, I'm really happy to be here with Michael Spiroff. He's a Canadian composer who graciously agreed to write a piece for Saint-Romain for the 15th anniversary of A Midsummer Music Dream. And so I'd like to welcome you here today, and we're going to talk a little bit about his musical background and the piece he wrote for the festival. And so welcome, Michael.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thank you.
So let me just ask you, what are some of your earliest memories of music?
So earliest memories of music, I'd say the first one that stands out that I can pinpoint, I must have been around three or 4 years old. I remember we had a small keyboard before we got the piano, and I just have these memories of course I was quite little, so I'd have to reach up. But I remember just kind of very gently and slowly pressing down on the keys and just kind of being fascinated with the result. And I'd play around with the various synth sounds we had on there. And just, yeah, I remember this kind of just gentle plucking of the keys.
Right. So it's something as a young boy, then 3 or 4 years old, really just what you had a fascination with sound, I probably, and just
Sure.
fascinated how sound was probably coming out of this
Absolutely.
box, Yeah. And were there any, from your memory and things, were there any types of music that you were drawn to at an early age, or?
I mean, my parents have a pretty eclectic musical taste, so I was exposed to all sorts of, from jazz to classical to bossa nova, all sorts of styles. So even from an early age, I was exposed to quite a few different types of music.
Right. Are your parents musicians at all, or?
No, they're not.
They're just listeners.
But, yeah, for sure.
So you had a wide range of input from them, from all these different kinds of styles. And when did you start? What instrument did you start to play, or what instruments did you start to play? Or
so I started piano lessons around the age of 5. I played for a few years, and then I switched to saxophone and studied jazz on the sax at the age of 10, which I studied for 6 years. And that's really when I started to fall in love with music. I worked with a wonderful teacher, Tara Davidson, in Toronto, and we did all sorts of things. We did jazz theory. I did a ton of transcriptions of various improvised solos, Miles Davis, Charlie Parker,
right.
All the greats. And that was really when I fell in love with music. And then I went back to classical and studied voice with the Royal Conservatory here in Toronto. And as well, I did musical theater during my high school years, and kind of having these various backgrounds led me to realize that composition was what I wanted to pursue.
Right. And how did you like the whole idea of improvisation in the jazz world?
I loved it. And I think that's a really important thing in my background for my compositional process, is having that really kind of intense improvisatory element to my background, which I still keep with me to this day.
Yeah, I heard one time when I was a young student, actually, this teacher once said that, jazz musicians, they, in all their improvisations, they give you all these permutations of what's possible and stuff.
Absolutely.
But the composer will, sort of pick what he thinks is the best one in a way.
Right.
In a way, that's kind of true, I think,
Absolutely.
And I think it's great that you had that jazz background, and that it's a certain kind of freedom in that.
Absolutely.
So then how old were you when you went to the conservatory and studied voice?
That was during my high school years.
So
I guess like 14 to 18, around then.
Uh-huh. And do you still sing?
I do. I'm a little bit rusty now, but I do. Part of my plan for this next coming year is to get back into it, because I do miss it. I do miss singing a lot.
So then when you went to the Royal Conservatory, did you know you would study composition? Was that at that point?
Eventually, yeah, it was around my grade 11 year. My high school asked me to compose an incidental score to a pre-existing play. So I composed that score and performed it. And that was the first kind of big task I had in composition. And it was that kind of led me to think, okay, I can see myself doing this in the long term. So it was, towards the end of high school that I really decided to pursue composition.
So then you went into the college, the Royal Conservatory, as a composition major.
No, that was my singing lessons were there. So I got my voice certificate there, and my first formal composition training was at Manus in New York.
Okay, gotcha.
Undergrad. Yeah.
And and at that point in high school, did you think at that point you would pursue music as a career? Was that?
Yeah, it took basically at the end of grade 11, beginning of the grade 12 year that right before the university application started to happen, that I concretely decided that that's what I wanted to pursue.
Uh-huh. And then you sort of adorned into that composition would be the same.
For sure.
Yeah, that's great. So then you went to Manus. And what year did you go to Manus?
I graduated in 2014.
From Manus? No, high school.
No, sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. High school, grad 2014, and then finished at Manus in 2018.
Cool. Uh-huh. And so what was that like, that experience studying composition there? It's a great school.
It was great, and it's a very small program, very intense, but it was really great. I mean, small classes, a lot of fantastic teachers. I studied composition with Missy Mazzoli there, and as well I did an early music study with Robert Cookson in my last year. And I mean, Manus is known for a really strong theory program.
Right.
So I mean, having that alongside the composition was a really, really good good for me. And yeah, kind of like thrown into it. A lot of composition programs kind of ease you into the composition, whereas at Manus you start right from the get-go with your lessons, with your, really small classes. So that was really good.
And what types of pieces did you write while you're there, for like what kinds of ensembles or things like that,
I wrote quite a variety. I think with my vocal background, I am always drawn to ensembles with at least some voices or one voice in it. I've composed, at my time at Manus, I composed for the Manus Orchestra. They premiered a piece. Various chamber ensembles, string quartet. One piece I did was for mezzo-soprano, bassoon, flute, and harp. So kind of various small to medium-sized ensembles.
Uh-huh. So when you first started to hear your pieces come to life, when people would rehearse them and stuff like that, what kind of experience was that?
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing because you spend so long on any given piece, and by the end of the composition process, you kind of get antsy to start to hear it. So hearing the rehearsals, hearing the workshops is a really kind of magical experience.
Yeah, I would assume it is. As the piece comes to life, you start all your thoughts in your mind and stuff, what you imagine. Now you're hearing it live and stuff. And it must be just such a great experience. And are there any particular like ensembles that you like to write for, genres, solo instruments, chamber things?
At this point, I just I like the complete variety. At McGill, where I'm currently completing my master's, I was a composer in residence for their chamber choir. So right. they premiered a piece and toured it, which was really fun, and I accompanied them on the tour. But at this point, yeah, any ensemble, I'm eager to try anything new.
Yeah, and so I gave you a whole list of instruments for Saint-Romain.
Yes.
And then you chose to write for these particular instruments. But before we get to that, actually, who are some of the composers that you were inspired by, and past and present and things like that?
Yeah, I'd say my favorite would be Stravinsky. Of all the composers, I think everything that he does is just, it's both kind of philosophically and literally what I really love in music. And I think with him, he kind of really hits the sweet spot between his pieces being very unique and having their individual identities, but it's so very clearly a Stravinsky piece. And I think that's a sign of a really good composer. Other than him, I would say Harrison Birtwistle is another favorite of mine. Very different aesthetic from my music, but nonetheless, I really love his. There's a very special kind of quirk to all of his music, and Duccio as well would be up there for me.
Okay. And Stravinsky, of course, went through so many different styles.
Right.
So you see this radical thing, then you see more, neoclassic kind of stuff. It's just quite something, And he lived so long and composed so long that it was
absolutely
sort of like parallel to Picasso, really,
For sure, and I believe in his final period, the serial period, he was already, I think, 70 or 71 when he started. So that's quite ambitious to begin a whole new style of writing at an age like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, just amazing the energy and things.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic, and he certainly changed the landscape of 20th century music.
Absolutely.
Way at the beginning,
100%.
It's fantastic. So to go back to the piece for Saint-Romain, how did you come to I'd given you a list of all the instruments and possibilities with voices and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything particular that drew you to the ensemble? If you could tell us a little bit about the ensemble.
For sure, yeah. So I went with the choice of mezzo-soprano and 7 instruments, flute, violin, viola, cello, guitar, piano, percussion. I wanted to essentially maximize the options that I had. But I think even with an ensemble that small, 7 instruments, you basically get kind of a microcosm of an orchestra. And there's endless possibilities with even just those 7 instruments. So and I said a text by Québécois poet Néré Beauchemin, a poem, a crépuscule rustique, which is rustic twilight. And I kind of took the piece as a challenge to explore all of the, I guess you could say, timbral and textural possibilities with those instruments.
Yeah.
And the voice, of course.
Yeah, the title alone of the poem was really quite beautiful, And was there? I know that the town gave you some history on the town.
Yes, for sure.
Was that helpful?
Absolutely, and I had previously done quite a bit of travel around the region, and there is a real charm to all the towns and eastern townships and the countryside, and and particularly, you know, like a sunset in a region like the Eastern Townships, especially when in the longer days, is a really special thing. And I think what's interesting is that during a sunset, I mean, every given moment can change so quickly, even though it seems so kind of still and static on the surface. So, but yeah, I mean, I was in touch with people from the town, and it was really nice to get an idea of the history and also the current characteristics of the town and the surroundings.
Yeah, and as beautiful as the countryside is, and we have found also the people in
Absolutely
quite, you know, beautiful in the way, and their appreciation and how they've appreciated this festival has been really
absolutely.
What kinds of musical plans do you have for the future?
Well, we'll see. I'm going to finish up my master's this fall. I'm doing my thesis on my family's from Macedonia in Eastern Europe, and my thesis project is involving a lot of the folk traditions of Macedonian music. So that's the plan right now, is to write this piece for my thesis. That's kind of somewhere between an opera and an operetta and a staged. I don't even know what I'm gonna put as the descriptor, but that's the plan for right now. And then after that, we'll see. I'll graduate in the spring, and there's, you know, a lot of possibilities. I've since beginning my compositional journey, I've always been drawn to the theatrical, to the vocal, whether it's a soloist or a chorus. So I think that's definitely where I'm going to head in the future.
But do you think there's a connection to your younger days in musical theater?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. And there was something else. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about some of the presentations that we're going to play during the week on the virtual festival, about any of those pieces? I know you gave us program notes, but
for sure, yeah. I mean, one of them is going to be the choir piece. I described it at McGill, which is, it's the text from the end of the Eastern Orthodox funeral service. I decided to set that text, so that you'll be hearing that piece. And as well a flute quintet that I wrote for 5 flutes, which was a very fun ensemble to write for. It involves a bass flute, which isn't the easiest instrument to come across, but when it is a possibility, it's a really special instrument to have in there. And as well as another piece for piano, cello, and voice that I composed for the Lunenburg Academy in Nova Scotia two summers ago.
well, yeah. So I'm sure the people that'll watch the videos and stuff will get a chance to, you know, sample your music. And we'll all be looking forward to. I'll be looking forward to playing on your piece, and we'll all be looking forward to. They'll all be looking forward to hearing it next summer.
Thank you.
And we certainly hope that hopefully you can come to the premiere and stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Part of this little festival, and it's a really quite a sweet thing, and it'd be so great for you to be there. You know?
It'd be really wonderful. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So I'm really happy that you were able to have this conversation, and we'll look forward to hearing your music during this next 10 days and hearing your premiere next year.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure to talk with you.